Hello and welcome back everyone to Adobe live from the sofa in the UK here. I'm based in London. I see all of you guys are back in the chat. Welcome back. If you do have questions, pop them in there. Today we have Will Pat here. How are you, Will?
I'm good. How are you? How's everyone on the chat? It's good
good
to see everyone here.
Yeah, because this is the main question.
Stream,
How
right?
are you? How are you all? Like, welcome back in the chat. Caroline, James, Richard, Maurice, Solomon, Jackie. Who else is here? Richard, Anthony, Tony Harmer is here. Hey, Tony. We're going to be seeing more of Tony on Friday. Yep. Caroline, D. Whoa, so many of you are here in the chat already. So welcome. Welcome to these daily live streams with UK creatives. And these are the ones that are the special ones. Yeah. With the little UK, with the little Union Jack on the thumbnail. And we do these to be close with the community here in the UK and, well, here in the UK. I live in Italy, but but our guests are all in the UK. And that includes Stephanie, our wonderful co-host here, and welcome to our, I think this is the second week we do it, so 5 + 3, it's our 8th stream from the sofa. Yep.
Cool.
And in Germany we were on stream 13 today. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Wow, we're going to be streams.
Thanks we're going to be doing for bringing the streams to the UK, Rufus.
Well, you're very welcome, Stephanie. And I just love seeing all the talent and the creativity that oozes out of the UK. And that includes William Paterson. William,
hey,
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah.
Are you all right? Are you coping okay?
Yes, I think I'm not counting the weeks anymore. You know, I rarely go out. No, yeah, well, you know, it's just a new way of life.
I think life has become a lot more simpler for the creative. You just stay at home and just draw stuff or make things, you know.
Yeah.
I'm doing okay though. I'm just drawing. I'm still in my office because it's only me and my wife we live together. So like we just come into the office, do our thing. Yeah, that's basically all we're doing right now. It's just carrying on, being sensible.
So is your office at home?
No, so we recently, so I used to be a freelance designer and we recently sort of become an agency. We're trying to expand out into the creative realm. So we've got a building that's like a bit too large for what we need right now, but it gives us room to grow. So yeah, it's moved from out of the home and into sort of a bigger building.
All right. I'm glad you can still go to the office. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here today.
No, that's true. Well, I would have tried my best at home, but there's just me and Naomi here. I need to make that clear. Otherwise, people, I'll have the people coming in telling me I can't be here.
All right.
Pardon?
Where are you based?
So we're based in Catterick Garrison. So I live in Richmond, but the office is like 10 minutes away. It's a big army base with a business park like outside of it, and it's the biggest garrison in the whole of Europe. So it's quite an interesting time to be here because we see that, you know, the army is going out and helping.
So you're fully protected by the army.
Well, that's it. But also the army helps everyone else in the UK. So it was really interesting seeing them all go to like London and different places to go and help build hospitals and stuff. So it's pretty cool, right?
Well, I live in a city. I've only seen police horses passing by my flat.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, always police horses. I said yesterday already, if I wouldn't be in this job, maybe I would want to ride a police horse all day through the city.
You'd have like this urge of power, wouldn't you? A sense of power. You've got a horse and you're a police officer.
Yeah, it's so cool. I mean, horse riding in itself is cool, isn't it? So, yeah.
Yeah.
Great, but introduce yourself. What are you doing for the ones who don't know you?
So I'm get ready for it. I'm a hand lettering artist. I make YouTube videos and I do logo design as well. But now I add to that by, you know, we do all sorts of design things here from where I'm based. So I normally do branding and identity and things like that, specializing in typography, which I'm going to be showing you today on Adobe Fresco.
Brilliant.
Yeah, good fun.
So
Yeah.
when was the first time we met? Will, that was it was still on the streams from Paris, right?
Yeah, so we technically met a few months before that in London at a creative meetup, and then I saw you again in Paris a few times, and then yeah, that's basically it. It was good fun.
Yeah,
We met
I don't know
in
how many
Barcelona.
streams I've done with you guys. I think I've done. It must be like, if we're including the ones in Barcelona, like nearly 10, I think. So it's really fun streaming with you guys because I can just sort of sit back, draw, and have a chat.
There we go.
I met you in Barcelona, and I still remember that beautiful signature that you did, and it was printed on a book which we gave away to someone from the chat who won it. It was really pretty.
That was fun. Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was fun.
Cool.
So what are you doing today?
So today, I've got a drawing that I've already drawn. Otherwise, it would have taken too long. But I'm using the vector brush inside of Fresco to basically vectorize this really cool drawing, because it's difficult to use, like to draw typography naturally in vector. So the coolest thing about Fresco for me is the ability to draw vector naturally on the iPad and then being able to bring it into Illustrator and other apps that I need to use. So it's part of the process as well. And this piece of work that I've got here used to be on the wall here. I used to chalk it up, but right now it's just got lots of scribbles of ideas for like videos and things like that. So
Did you draw that by hand and scan it in, or?
I drew it by hand, and then I'll show you here. I've got the finished artwork here, but I've duplicated it to show you my process of how I get like the lines correct and stuff inside of Fresco to make it easier. But you can see that's vector right there within Fresco, and this is why I did when I was on holiday, actually, because I liked the idea of working hard and I wanted to create that fluidity whilst also having the bold typeface there. So yeah, I'm going to be showing you today how I basically vectorize it.
That's pretty awesome, because most people who are using Fresco, they're using the watercolor brushes or the oil brushes to create illustrations, and I think it's super interesting to see you using the vector brushes, which are a very important part of the Fresco workflow.
Well, of
and the
course,
cool thing is that you can then export it right to Illustrator and continue there if you need to.
That's right. That's the main thing. So like, I can't show you, but I've been creating like a typeface that is a hand-drawn typeface, but I didn't need to take it into Illustrator first to, vectorize it. I just drew it out, and then you go ahead and use the vector brush, and then you've got another layer on top, and you can start drawing over the typeface, bring it into Illustrator, use a different type app, and then you've got like a typeface that you can sell, which is pretty neat, isn't it?
Do you use Font Self?
I do use Font Self. It's really interesting. They've got a new update as well where it auto kerns, which is I don't know how people do stuff like that, wizards. But like, yeah, it's an unreal creating.
Yeah,
fonts.
so people in the chat here, you might be interested in Font Self, one word, Font Self, and you can Google that. And basically, it's our friends in Paris who created this app that you can use in Illustrator and Photoshop to create fonts very, very quickly, and simply by creating the letters from A to Z and numbers 1 to 0. And then you just select those, and boom, you have an open type font that you can type with right away and share with other people. So I think that's a good
easy
quarantine project. Make your own font. Yeah.
Definitely. It's just super easy just to get everything on there and then export it out. Very fun and intuitive. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to crack on with this and show you what I do?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Cool. So you have your drawing. You can draw straight in here. You can use just a normal brush if you want, a sketch brush. And then you just go ahead, take your layer, just like tracing paper, and you bring it down. I'll just move my microphone so I can see my iPad a bit better. And then I just start drawing with the vector brush. Now, the settings I've got on the vector brush, because you can actually customize them a bit more, I I've gone ahead and changed the pressure dynamics. So I've changed the size to around 61. I found that having a taper at the end gives you quicker, well, more like better lines when you're doing rounded objects, for instance, because this has got a lot of like different round objects. You can go ahead and get like easier lines with different pressures that you're putting on. And then I've also got smoothing up to 78, which obviously helps with my jittery hands.
But you always fill it with that brush as well.
You don't have to. So I was going to show like obviously you've got the paint bucket, so you can just go ahead like that. But
like
I normally do
Photoshop.
that at the end. It's just a bit quicker at the end. You just like really spam with your pencil like that, and you can just like dot it all around. But yeah, that's basically what I do. And I've got this experimental feature on, which I think you go up here to get your experimental feature, which is the straight lines. So for something like this, you can use that feature really easily to keep your lines very straight. Because obviously this is filled with like lots of different curves. And sometimes you need to have a straight line in there. Like I was going to do it for down here, but I don't think it would work well. So that's basically the whole workflow. And to get this effect, I found the easiest way to explain is that wherever the liquid is or wherever the sticky parts of the design are, it cannot have any sharp corners. So that's one way of ensuring that you get a cool effect with this. So keeping it all smooth and having a sharp corner.
And just a quick note for those of you in the chat who are wondering, what's the difference between vector brushes and pixel brushes, is that vector brushes are vector based, of course. And what's cool about drawing in vectors, it is resolution independent, meaning that you can zoom into it as much as you want and basically print it out as big as you want without losing any kind of resolution with it. That's why it remains crisp and sharp when you zoom in.
That's right. You can see the difference there when I zoom in. You can start to see the pixels here, but then no matter how big or small I draw it or scale it, it works and it just looks nice and crisp, as you say, which is the best part.
Yeah, we have Richard asking, perhaps Will could redesign the Union Jack logo.
Oof.
I assume the one that we have on Adobe Live that Rufus did. Yeah.
Well, no, I didn't do it. I copy pasted it.
Wouldn't people get mad at me if I designed it badly?
And Richard is also asking, is Will using a paper texture film on his iPad?
I am. I'm actually using something called a paper-like one, which I did do some work for them. So I did actually rebrand them, but they didn't go with it. The rebrand, they went into a bit of a different direction. So that was like over a year ago. But it's just like a really good matte screen protector. Basically, you can hear it. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's got a really nice texture with it. And the best part about it isn't just the texture, is that you don't have to wear one of those drawing gloves, with the Cintiqs and different other computer-based tablets, because your hand normally sticks to it. But with this, you can really like get your strokes in and not have to worry about your hand sticking to the computer screen or the iPad screen. But it just helps.
So there's two kinds of people, right? Those who like paper-like and those who don't use it, and because or who tried it and then they weren't fully satisfied. It really depends on on your own preference here.
Oh yeah, that's it. It's just depending on like what you prefer to draw on, because you'll find a lot of people who've come from the digital drawing space don't really care. They don't mind. They just use it. But a lot of people have come from the paper drawing, analog. They may want that little crutch, and because I come from the paper drawing of like lettering to the first iPad, and I haven't sort of turned back since. I've sort of like this matte screen protector. It just really helps me, but it's not like essential.
I also have a few questions. I have to say I've never had an iPad, and the only time I've tried Fresco was in Cape Town in an Apple store. So I basically have no clue. But when you draw with these vector brushes, is that just on the same layer? So does it behave like Photoshop, or is it like in
So-
Illustrator that everything is already merged and it's one area?
So in here, it's like everything's already merged, and
Okay.
it simplifies it down. So you can add a new layer on top of it, but there's no need. So when you have like a bitmap layer here, so like a normal one, like the one that I'm tracing over, you can see here on my right, I've got these layers. When you go into like, I think it's like a live brush or a vector brush, it will just create a new layer over the top of it for you, because that's how Fresco works. And then you have like your very own vector layer. So there's the vector layer, and then there's the bitmap one. So it doesn't really merge it. Sorry, it does merge it, and it doesn't have other layers, but you can do it yourself if you wanted to. So for instance, if I wanted to change the kerning between the W and the O, I could just go ahead and create a new layer and start drawing on this layer like this. If I can actually get my circular motion correct, because this is the one that always gives me jip. You can see on the right here, I've started on a new layer, and I can transform that and move it later if I needed to.
But the one that is on the same layer, it's one object. Like if, for example, in Illustrator, I would use the Pathfinder and make them all into one.
That's right. So it's one object, which is pretty good for, I mean, when you're drawing it anyway. Right? Yeah, it's just like, if you have them all together, then I think it'll confuse matters a bit more when you're drawing. And because that's what makes it feel so natural. I mean, I don't know what you guys did to the brush, but it just feels a lot more natural to draw with the vector brush inside of Fresco than any other drawing app that I've seen.
And in order to use that paint bucket, you also need to close an area in order that it recognizes it, that this is what it needs to color.
Yeah. So like if I was to draw a circle that was open, it would just do the whole screen, which you don't want.
But, boom.
But if I close it up, it knows. It's quite clever.
Yeah, okay.
It just makes everything a lot quicker. So you can spend more time on the lines, and you know that if you get good lines, which I am kind of speeding through this one a bit too fast, I think. I have the tendency to do that when I'm on camera. But when I'm speeding through it, you can see that I'm not really worried about filling it in.
But Will, you're not on camera, so.
I'm not on camera. Oh no, that's what I say. That's like freaking me out. No, I'm quite used to it. I'm quite used to it.
Welcome to our Adobe Live podcast from the sofa. We are chatting with Will Paterson today. And there's Stephanie here as well. You can't see her, you can only hear her, because this is the podcast. By the way, we're going to have Katie Cohen tomorrow with us. And Katie is doing this Creative Boom newsletter, if some of you might know it. And it's got over 1 million subscribers. And tomorrow we're going to be talking about her new podcasts as well. So I'm super excited to have Katie Cohen with us tomorrow.
Cool. Creative Boom. I need to subscribe to that.
That's a question from Priya, but I'm not sure if I understand that. How do you get the experimental feature on? What is the experimental feature?
So I believe the experimental feature is up on the settings, and you go into app settings, and then experimental, and you can turn it on. So that's the straight line.
What does it do? Okay.
It gives you that straight line here.
Yeah, okay.
Which is quite useful, especially when you're drafting. So like with lettering and stuff, and you need consistency.
Or creating a perspective grid or something like that. Just
Yeah. Which is always a good fun thing. Hang on a sec. This one's going to be a pain. Here we go. Kind of. It's always satisfying when you get the right curve. I might turn up my smoothing a bit more.
Do you have busy points or something that you could adjust, like in Illustrator, or not? You always have to draw it again and again until you have it.
You don't have Bezier points, no. You just basically redraw it because it's the natural way of doing it, you know, and you can bring it in to, you know, Adobe Illustrator if you wanted to. You just have to press this and you can do a publish and export, and you can export it somehow to Illustrator. And
So
then you
it
can
exports it as an Illustrator file.
I don't know if you can export it as an Illustrator file, but you can
just open
put
it
into your documents.
Ah, okay. I've learned from Octavia that she exported it to a Photoshop file, and then I took her Photoshop file and opened it in XD and made an app out of it.
Nice. So you see here, I'm sort of ruining my lines, but another cool thing, you've got this little button down here. So if you press that, it goes to the eraser. But I don't like to erase my vectors too much. I like to redraw them because you get these weird little anchor points when you go into Illustrator. There we go. Just sort of keeps it cleaner. And it's just out of like, you know, habit. I don't tend to erase, I just redo.
And do you always start off with black and white?
I do, yeah. I think anything that looks good in black and white, when you add color, would look better with color. So as long as it looks good in black and white, generally, composition wise, then you're not too focused about the color, and then you can start to add color like gradients and stuff if you wanted to. And because this is just vector, I can change the color whenever I want.
And the rule is, if it doesn't work in black and white, it won't work in color.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the same rule in UX design. If the app functionality makes no sense in black and white, it will not make sense if you apply UI.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
Hang on, get the straight line here. Delete that bit there because I keep flicking my pencil. I don't know why. Yeah, and this is basically the process. It's quite like therapeutic, going over your lines.
It is meditative. Yeah.
Meditative. That's the word that I wanted.
Yeah.
Because
I don't know.
Sort of
yeah, but it is therapeutic in the sense that it heals your soul.
That's right. It's like when you get the perfect anchor point placement. Or is that just me? Man,
how do you get the straight lines on the real paper where you drew by hand?
So you can do it like this. So if you're on your bitmap pencil and Fresco, you can just do this. Use the ruler.
No, I mean the artwork that you have drawn by hand on a piece of paper.
Oh,
how
this
did you
isn't
get
by
it
hand.
straight there? Yeah. So how did you get it straight there?
Oh, well, this, like, I didn't draw any of this on paper. I drew this on like here.
Oh, as well. Okay.
So
I thought
like,
you drew that on paper and then you scanned it in.
No, so I just drew. You can draw it on here, like in the bitmap, and then it adds it to. Hang on, I've just added a loads of bitmap lines there, which I don't want. Or have I? Hang on, go back to where I was. There we go. No, so on here you can just start drawing, and it'll create the layer here, if that makes sense. And then you just draw over the top of it with vector lines. You can get rid of the ruler here. The ruler is quite an interesting thing to use, especially again for drafting. It's one of the main things on the wall though. So when I'm drawing on like the chalk wall here, sometimes you can cheat a bit if you wanted to and use a projector to help you compose it, and then you can trace it. Or I've got a device somewhere. It is somewhere around the office, which is like this leveler. It's like a laser that levels itself, and it helps you get straight lines with a laser on the wall. And it's great for like doing hand lettering or sign painting. And I've used that quite a few times for my hand lettering, just to make sure that my lines are actually straight on the wall. Because the one thing I don't like to do is create straight lines without technical assistance. Like, because I never get them right.
That's right, Jonathan. Yeah. Will was answering your question as you were writing it, like all in real time. And this is the cool thing about being live here on Adobe Live from the sofa. or a kitchen in my case.
Or the floor.
What was the question?
Or the floor. No, the question was, so, like, have you hand drawn it and then photographed it and then now tracing it? No, it was all done in fresco. But I really, this is actually a real nice way to do it, is to use all the, the pencil tool and like really sketch on the iPad, like if it were pen and paper. And, and even with the pressure sensitiveness of the pencil and the tilt of the pencil, you can really sketch very, very quickly.
Oh yeah, so like on here you've got, that's me normal. Hang on, so that's my normal to the side. So you can create depth and everything. And if you want to draw like this, you can. It's very intuitive. It's very natural as well, especially when if you are someone who does a lot of lettering on paper, this whole process is very natural. So instead of scanning it in, you can use just the, fresco if you wanted to, and draw it in normally. And then when you're done to put your lines in, you can just easily put your lines in, like with the vector tool pen, with the vector pen, even vector brush. That's the one. So you can see here, I'm like zooming in because I'm not too worried about keeping it so consistent, because it's going to have that look as if it is, water gushing through it. I'll just go ahead and do that. There we go.
So Jonathan is asking, why not just open the sketch in Illustrator and convert it to a vector?
So you don't have as much control. So it works in some cases, and it could work with this. But for instance, if I wanted to have clean lines, if this is going to be like printed out on something big or like drawn up on a wall, you want to have these lines clean. And when you image trace, although image trace is good for the certain circumstances, you might find you get like a lot of like tiny little things that you need to go clean up inside of Illustrator. So it's just easier and you get better results when you do it yourself.
And you can change your mind. You can ignore certain parts. It really becomes a creative process. I'm all for automating some things, but I think in the case of drawing over, typographic elements or things like that, it's so much easier to just draw over it with fresco in this case, and also make decisions on the fly. If you just trace it, it'll just be, a trace of your sketch. But here, Will is actually already making some decisions of making some parts bigger, some parts smaller,
That's right. So you can change it as you go. And then not only that, when it's the same when you're an illustrator as well. If you're putting a logo type that you're designing, and then you use the pen tool and put appropriate anchor points in and create it so that the Bezier lines and the anchor points can be edited. You can make very slight adjustments without having to redo it. But if you image trace it, you might find yourself spending too much time trying to adjust it, if that makes sense. Here we go. Get this down here. It's a long process, but I find it really relaxing.
Do you also use that when you sit outside? Can you still see it when the sun is shining or something?
Yeah, so the screen is bright. I mean, it's basically like the old generation of the iPad. So I've got, it's just the camera that's different, really. I've got it here, but I can't pick it up. But yeah, with the Paperlike, you can actually see it. So you can get any matte screen protector, but I think the Paperlike's got this weird like finish on it, which is really tiny little, I don't know what's that, particles on the Paperlike. So it feels a bit more natural than just any old screen protector that I've used, but it does really help with the light. So there's no glare or reduced glare. So you can be outside, you can be anywhere really. And just turn the screen brightness up when you need to.
So yeah, last week we had Craig Black with us, and of course, as Jonathan is noting in the chat, yeah, Craig would like scan in the sketch and then, or photograph it or whatever, or bring it into Illustrator, And then also, you know, like use the smooth tool on something that's auto trace and things like that. Like I said, it takes all sorts. And my final assumption is always whatever works best for you. So you should be aware of all, you know, the various functions and things that are possible, and then you choose the one that you're most comfortable with.
That's right. Just whatever you want to do, you do. Everyone's like, Craig Black's got like an old school method of doing it, which I really like. I saw him off Barcelona last year.
Yeah.
He was lettering on a car. It was really cool. We got on pretty well. So like, I love his work. It's nice to talk to him about it as well. Lettering artists unite.
And Dorina is asking, what model of iPad are you using?
So this is the new 12.9-inch iPad Pro. I think it's the 128 gigabyte one. It's just the newest one that's on the website. So I bought it to review on YouTube to see if there was a huge difference between this one and the old one. So far it's quicker. I can tell that, and you don't think things can get quicker, but it does feel a lot snappier. But you know, it's technology is moving so fast, and you kind of get used to the other ones. But yeah, you can use any iPad, but for me personally, future proofing it so I can get things done quicker and having a bigger display, because you can get a smaller iPad, but having a bigger display that isn't just massive but just big enough for drawing really does help. Little squiggly line there. How was that? And then you get the paint bucket tool, which makes everything a lot easier. For stuff like this, if you wanted to keep this line completely straight, what you can do is just go straight through it.
So Sanket, you're having issues watching the stream on your Behance app on Android. I don't think the Behance app is able to show the stream, but if you're on your mobile device, go over to the Adobe UK YouTube channel, and then you will be able to see it there. And then if you want to chat with us, just come back here to the chat on your mobile Behance app.
Is your Apple Pencil, is it always the same pencil, or are there different kinds? I have to say, I only know, I've only been using Wacom tablets, so I know the difference of Wacom tablets and pens, but I'm not
Apple
aware of Apple
So-
pencils.
Yeah, so there's two Apple Pencils. This one is the second generation, and the difference is it's got this like flat end on the pencil where you can double tap and it'll bring things up like the color wheel. You can get it so it can go to the eraser, but every time you tap, it'll bring certain things up. And it's just another input method into the iPad. So instead of like, you know, going and clicking on the color wheel, for instance, you can just like bring it up by double tapping it, then going to it, you know. The old one doesn't have that, and you would have to charge the old one inside of the iPad, so it kind of looked like you were stabbing your iPad.
Yeah.
But with this, you just literally on the side here, and you'll see it pop up. It just charges and stays put next to the iPad. Although I do get scared that it's gonna, like, you know, fly away, because I'm quite rough with my technology. Oh, hello. So that's the
Christian, that's a very good point. Okay, I'm gonna write to Sankit. Yeah.
Jonathan is saying, I've been using a real life ruler on my iPad.
I suppose you can do that as well.
Is it not detected as a hand or something if you put any other objects on it?
No, I can do this. I can put my finger on it. I can put my hand on it.
No, but if you put any other objects on it, like a ruler or a mug or whatever, does it not think it's a hand?
No, because I don't think so. I mean, the iPad's got good, it's called palm rejection. So you can, it rejects anything that, you know, that isn't supposed to be touching, but it allows you to rest your hand and anything else on it, and you can see that I can still draw. Sometimes it can like glitch out a bit, but you know, for what it is, it's really good. I never have to worry about it. See, I don't think having a mug on it would, I mean, bother it, but I don't think you'd be drawing with a mug on your iPad though.
If you need a circle, never know.
I might draw with a mug on it just to see that now, because I don't think it would. Yeah, you can put anything. This is a pencil sharpener. Oh wait, it might have done something there, but I think that was just me. No, it's just very good. It becomes very natural drawing on the iPad. And you don't have to worry about paper or sketch or like tracing paper.
Could you stamp anything, like for example your hand, or use your? I did that when I was at uni and our cat was still alive. I used her paws and I put color on her paws, and then I just pressed the paws on paper, so I had her paws there. Could you do that on iPad?
Probably not. I don't think so. They don't think they have the force touch anymore. I guess they could have done it beforehand, but not anymore. Although that is interesting.
I have so many ideas since I've been sitting at home all the time. So.
It's not a bad thing at all. Yeah, how's that? Boom. So these lines up here look too straight. And that's another important thing. When they look too perfect, it can kind of ruin the whole illusion that you're giving it. So I might have to go over them.
Where do you take your inspiration from, especially these days?
Inspiration, I guess it's always been the same. So I take it from 1920 to 1930 art, like advertising campaigns that they used to do. The typography they used to have, like in Germany, obviously with black letter is a huge like inspiration of mine. And generally just during like war efforts, because during times of crisis, design is a huge thing, and it sort of revolutionizes during it's like during wars and stuff like that. You'll see like, you know, the keep calm and carry on, that sort of design that was created during like a time of crisis, that was like a genius thing. And it just shows that design like that carries on to this day. So I take inspiration from old work when people didn't have technology, and I try and like replicate that in an easier fashion. But not only that, I get inspiration from like going outside. We live in a really nice area in the countryside. Well, it's not countryside, it's like more rural. We don't live in a city, a very small town. And it means that we can like get out and see nature a bit more. And that's what I like, you know, the natural flow, which is kind of what I'm trying to express here, is the natural flow of something. And it's just really an easy effect to do. So it comes from a lot of different places.
So Jonathan is asking, have you seen Seb Lester's stuff?
I have. He's unreal. Like a really cool guy, Seb Lester. I've never met him, but I would love to. His work a few years ago just blew up, didn't it? Everyone was just seeing it, and he's so talented at what he does with calligraphy. And again, that's more like the calligraphy side of it, but he does do hand lettering, which is a bit more of the draft and drawing of the letters instead of using like a brush to create the thicks and thins, if that makes sense. So what I'm going to do here, this line up here looks way too perfect. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to try to sort of mess this up a little bit up here, because I don't like lines that are just look so similar.
Mark is asking, that's why the cat died. No, she lived another 7 years after I put her paws in aquarelle color and pressed them on paper. She died of natural causes. So.
This is an annoying letter, but we can do it. with the ruler.
Yeah, whilst I was at uni, I think that was the last time I really drew. And I drew a lot my cat because she was always there. She was just like a model that was always available. I was always fascinated by the hair and everything. And I still have it on my Behance. It's just not public, but I drew her in aquarelle. I drew her in oil. I even used ink and made like this ink painting out of her. And I did photography with her because I was so fascinated by the hair. So I just put the light behind the cat so you can see the outline of the hair. And yeah, I experimented a lot with the cat. She was my inspiration.
Well, you take inspiration where it comes, right?
Yeah.
There we go. Get rid of the rest of the. No, that's better. Now I can see a bit more. So I've just gone into full screen. And for anyone wondering what this thing is, this is just my brush options for color and changing the vector brush. I can just shove it up here if I wanted to. So you see me spinning my work around all the time. I find it really like, it might be annoying for everyone. Like, why does he keep like spinning his work around? You can see things differently when you do that. So I always like zoom in and zoom out while spinning, just so I can, one, get to the right angle for my hand to draw, but also because it gives you different perspectives. And if it generally looks good in a different perspective, it'll look good on like, you know, the straight up perspective that you're looking at it. That's like another rule that I put in place for my work.
Is there a shortcut that you can get it back to the normal orientation, to a standard one?
So when you're in here, you can just like do that, but I don't do that because I'm always like inside, and it takes 2 seconds just to do this and bring it in. But I know that some people might find it seasick because I'm very erratic with my zooming.
Well, it definitely beats turning the iPad around all the time.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's the coolest thing. Like with paper, when I go back to paper now to do anything, it's always like having to turn the paper around, then accidentally, like, you know, use my 2 fingers to undo something. That happens quite a lot still when I'm drawing on paper, because my mind is just so used to, like, you know, undoing it normally on the iPad. Here we go. Do this. We've got a little issue down here. I don't like this.
Oh, thank you, Gabby. So video is supported in the app on Android. It works for you. Okay, great. So my mistake. I don't know why there's problems with other people. Because I've seen on the stats from YouTube that quite a few of you are actually watching from your mobile devices.
Nice. People will be on the sofas or tucked up in bed watching people design stuff and talk. Cool.
I think at the moment it's just difficult because most of the people have one laptop like I have without any external screen. And then where do you watch it on? And then the only other device that you have where you can watch something whilst you're doing some work is your phone, right? That's just the normal setup, or the same setup as I have. I have no external screen. I have no iPad. I just have the MacBook and the phone. So I would watch it on the phone too.
Nice.
Maybe Tim, if you can like give us a link to the specifications of what you need to watch the streams on your Android app, could be cool. Maybe there's something out there. And Priya is watching in the garden, watching live. That's great. And Shoban, it's sunny in the UK today. People might be outside. Yeah, well, with their phone.
Where we are is a bit of cloud, which is annoying, but it was sunny when we were coming into the office.
Yeah, it's
today.
cloudy. It's cloudy in the city. Yesterday it was sunny. The day before it was cloudy. The weekend it was very warm and sunny. Aiken is saying
every weekend for us kind of seems like it's just cloudy at the minute every weekend. So when we're at the office, it's really nice outside. And we're just like, please be nice on the weekend so we can, like, at least sit in our garden.
Aiken is saying, wow, I I don't know what that means, called reverse light in photography. Yeah, the light was just behind the cat, so you could see the outline of the hair and her silhouette. Greetings from Uruguay. Wow. Rufus, where do you get all these people from?
Nearly there now. This has been very relaxing for me to do, just to sit and draw little squiggles.
Yeah, you're gonna have like a nap in 15 minutes, right? As soon as the stream is over, you know, Will retire on the sofa and have a nap. So relaxed now. Yeah.
I would love to if I had the chance, but that's the thing. The grind never stops. And that's the thing, whenever I relax, I'm like, oh, right now would be a really good time to like start drawing something. And then I start to get like these ideas which make me a bit less relaxed, but more excited. So I'll be probably just carrying on drawing or doing some other bits of work today, which will be fun. Whoop.
And Miss ER's Sprullery. Oh, sorry. I'm just
no, go ahead.
Reading the, is asking, are you using Duet 2 to connect your iPad to your Mac? That is not even necessary anymore, right? Because you can just use Sidecar. Yeah.
That's right. So right now I'm just plugging it into my computer through a wire and obviously hooking it up with Zoom and however we live stream this. So you don't need it. Like Duet, AstroPad, you don't really need anymore because you can just press a button on the top of your Mac and control your Mac through your iPad, which is quite clever. Best of all worlds, right?
Yeah, right. Because you can then on the iPad see Photoshop or Illustrator or InDesign, and you know, but especially for Photoshop and Illustrator, where maybe you have to draw with pen or brush-like tools, it is super useful.
It's very easy. So I use it for when I'm masking. So if I'm masking a YouTube thumbnail of myself doing a silly face for the thumbnail, I'll mask myself out of it and create the thumbnail that way. And it's just so much more precise using the pencil. And, oh, just this bit here. We're done.
My question is, since you have had this app, have you ever drawn anything else than letters? Have you also tried like just sitting outside in a landscape and drawing landscape or nature, architecture, anything?
I have actually. So when I first got a hold of the app, I tried the watercolor brushes, because they were really interesting. So like I was trying to do watercolor because it seems easy. When you look at really loose watercoloring paintings, it seems, oh, you know, they're just putting little dibs and dabs everywhere and giving the illusion of it, but it's not easy. Even like normal watercolor is like, it takes a lot of skill. So I have tried it, but it never looks anything like, you know, any good really for me. But you can see here, as I was talking about before, which is taking like different layers. The W is still on a different layer, so we can actually move it if we wanted to. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So you can do it that way, or you can just merge the layers down if you wanted to. There is a button for it somewhere. I know there is. There we go. And that's that. But there's other brushes as well. My favorite live brushes, I was playing with these the other day, actually. Bring them out. Actually, no, I want this blue. That's the coolest thing. So if you didn't want to do some vector, you can change the brush size to something small. Yeah, I'll choose that.
Actually, you could take your vector layer and duplicate it.
2 secs.
And create a pixel layer out of that.
And then we use a pixel layer.
And then use it as a mask. So you can paint with oils or watercolor inside of that type.
That is so clever. I've never done that before either. Oh, I've ruined it there.
You
What
are
would I
the
do from
fresco wizards.
I've just made a group as well.
Ah.
I might have to work on that and show you show you it later. Because right now I'm confused how I do that for myself because you just excited me too much.
Well, I remember that from Octavia's stream. She was always working with masks, so she has the clear edges of her drawings.
That is really clever, though.
So let's see, where is it? Create. Oh, you can create an empty mask, or you can mask. Lock transparency. There you go.
Boom.
Did you do it? And now paint.
On top of this?
Yeah, and it'll paint. It'll paint only inside of the shape.
Oh, wow. Okay, now I've got it. Yep. Okay, that makes more sense. Right, I've got you. I've got you. Okay, so we need to change the brush settings here because it's... Let's get... in fact, let's choose a big fat... How's this one? And
what you can also... Yeah, well, I don't remember exactly how she did it, but I think she set the transparency of the artwork because now you are basically painting on the black, so it mixes with the black.
Yeah, that's what I want to get rid of.
Yeah.
It's clever though.
It needs to be white though, I think. Yeah, it needs to be white. Yeah.
Yeah, so actually I'm going to do that. Right, I'll just delete that. Okay, we'll duplicate this. Actually, no, wait, I'm going to turn it to white.
Serge is asking, do you convert those handmade types as the typeface family?
You can do. You can just bring it into Illustrator if you wanted to. I'm going to go old school on this. Do this, bish, bash. Get this white. You can see my old layer in the background there. Turn that off. I'm not deleting it. I'm just turning it into white. Easily done in the paint bucket tool. But you've given me a spark of inspiration, Rufus.
There we go. That's what we're here for. And that's why we stream from the sofa every day, from Monday to Friday, including this Friday and Monday, Easter Monday. We will be here on Adobe Live from the sofa, together with Stephanie and our guests.
Nice. Convert to pixel layer. Right, we've got that. A lot of transparency. Change my color off.
Or take the watercolor brush. Or what?
Yeah, it might work. That's it. I've gone quiet now because I'm thinking.
Yeah,
how many brushes are there?
That's cool. Wait. You might not be able to see what. It does work, yeah. Just give it a sec.
It doesn't work.
Oh, it doesn't work the same way that I thought. I must be missing a step.
Yeah. Well, but we're seeing some of the.
You're seeing some of it. You can go back on the old ones to see it, right? What I was going to do, though, is to keep the ball rolling. If I bring this back up, was basically just do it again with the live brush to create like an oil texture, because something that I love to do is create texture within the lettering as well. And obviously this is a vector, but depending on the usage of it, if you're not going to be expanding it up.
I think Jackie's right. And at some point, I think you filled the background as well, and the background should be transparent.
Oh dear. Is that watch this.
I think that's it. Yeah. So
I must have filled the background in by accident.
Yeah.
So do you have to use the paint bucket individually in all of them? Is there not something like in Photoshop where you can select color and then it just selects everything that's black?
There's probably a way. I just have chosen to do it the hard way. when I get like an idea, it's never the easy way. Now I can see when I've gone and missed something and hit the background. Okay, now I totally understand. That's the thing. I'm not thinking logically. I'm just going for it. Right.
It is Wednesday, and you know.
Right. Duplicate. No, wait, I don't want to do that. What do I want to do? I want to convert to pixel layer. Lock the transparency. Now, I bet you anything it'll work. Probably not with that one. There you go.
Yay!
We're good.
You see? And that
so
way you
correct.
can, that is pretty cool, yeah.
Change some of the color attributes of it. Ah, it's so cool. Wait.
Could you also draw with your finger on this iPad, or do you have to have the pencil?
You draw with your finger. I've just turned it off because I only draw with the Apple Pencil.
Hmm.
Let's change the colors down here.
Yeah, you can do finger painting. Although the pencil makes the whole difference. And that's
I'm just thinking,
this
well,
is so cool. What a cool effect. I love it, Will.
Yeah, that's cool.
That is better than what I was going to do as well. Which I'm glad you told me about that, Rufus. Like, that's a really cool. I want to go a bit teal actually, so let's go to teal. Just about adding different. You can see there the water just absolutely going for it. I can change the amount of water flow as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
it fits perfectly to my sofa and my wall now.
And you wanted to give that liquid kind of feeling to the words, right? So I think you know, watercolor is perfect for that. To also give this, you know, shininess and movement.
That's it. Like the gradients of all the different color, you can see it's really clever. Right, so I've got that color. What do I want to do now? Go back to this one because it's a bit too dark. So I'm just pushing water into it. I'm just using it like a normal paintbrush, really, but then I can just use the water to mix. So
well, now Will is experimenting live.
That's right, yeah.
He's trying out something for the first time.
You won't be able to get me to stop now.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I can just keep going. I'm going to try and do different colors in here, actually, because I think we can switch around to this angle. This might not work very well, but again, we are experimenting. Over here, it is a bit dark, so I might just go ahead, bring it back to this one. And I guess I can put white in as well to lighten up. Clever.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And what you can do as well is like add another layer underneath.
Oh, yeah.
And then paint very lightly with the watercolor brushes so that it, you know, it like unifies everything.
So what is the difference between using the white color and the eraser?
Well, I think the eraser isn't an eraser. It's like it changes what the brush does. So it kind of like adds more water. So it's just dropping water onto it, if that makes sense. I'll probably be able to show you. So I'll show you here. So that's just normal. Now if I press this button, I'm just adding water around it so it seeps in. Then you get all these cool textures in there. Wait, I want to fix my letters first, actually. You've got me going.
Sorry.
It's all right.
I'll give you a couple more minutes, Will.
Because I want it to be like over here, but
Catherine is saying good design for surfers.
Yeah. That's right. I've got too many dark spots.
It's always like that. when it's over, that's when the fun begins.
Yeah, I know, right? The major reveal of an effect, which is really clever.
The thing is, I'm learning so much in these streams as well.
Yeah.
So, I just took, what I remembered from Octavia's stream and like pull it into this stream. And hey, I just made Will experiment something completely new. And I hope you in the chat will also experiment. For those of you who have a tablet, download Adobe Fresco and try it out.
Yeah, it's really fun. Even just seeing the animation, you can see there when I do it, the animation of all the water. It just feels very lively.
You let me know after the stream if you can print something, if you put objects on it, like a hand or a paw or I don't know, a leaf. if you could press that into it or
No,
like
you
a
can't.
stamp.
You can.
No.
No, that could be something.
No, it just feels the fingers. It won't feel plastic, for example. You can't go like this.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why it needs some sort of a controller, like the Apple Pencil, or there's other things like Wacom has their own pen for the iPad and things like that. And then there's a very like mainstream ones which are just a tiny little finger, like made out of rubber, and you just go.
Have you tried with your dog's paw?
It probably would work. I think it takes you like what is it? The electricity in your hands. Capacitive.
Yeah.
Have you tried it before with Argo?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
He would probably scratch my screen. Anyway, Will, I think we have to to part ways for today.
No problem.
This was so awesome this is so awesome that you can paint in it now with all these crisp edges due to the vector drawing that you did. And
yeah, I didn't even expect it.
Yeah, this is so cool. And of course, thank you for the community that has joined us today here on Adobe Live from the sofa. I hope you'll all be back tomorrow. Like I said, tomorrow we will be together with Katie Cohen from Creative Boom. Many of you are probably subscribed to her newsletter, and we will be talking about Creative Boom and also her wonderful podcasts, which she started doing just a few weeks ago and which are already tremendously successful. And she wants to help creatives stay creative and be creative. So pretty awesome stuff tomorrow as well. So Will, again, thank you so much for this hour with us. Thank you, Stephanie, for co-hosting with me, and thank you, Tim, whom most of you don't see. Actually, none of you see. He's in the background here, monitoring everything and making sure that the right screens come up at the right time. And sometimes he's also in the chat. So thank you, everybody. Stay creative and see everybody tomorrow. Stephanie, do you want to say something?
Yeah, thank you all for joining in, and thanks a lot, Will, for joining us. It was really interesting seeing your letters again. And stay safe.
You.
Bye.
All right. Bye. See you tomorrow.
Bye.